Hey, this is Lisa Kostova, and I'm a leadership coach for entrepreneurs using astrological insight. Today, I want to chat with you about the difference between having a business that's a hobby and running a business like a pro. And this is super top of mind for me now because I'm relatively new at turning what used to be a hobby into my business. So let me know if you relate to this experience. So I have a mastermind, I have a group of entrepreneurs we're all relatively in the same stage of our developing and growing our businesses. And we're all super fired up. We are extremely excited about what it is that we are doing. And then just the other day, we started getting real with each other. And we started talking about each other about our fears and how often we slip into the trap of undercharging people. Or in my case, like with astrology, it used to be my hobby. And so I still have friends that are used to, or family members that are used to me just taking a quick look at their chart to see what's going on. And mentally, it's such a hard shift to make. There's a lot of resistance and there's a lot of guilt that's associated with telling somebody, well, I used to do this as a hobby. So I used to do this free and I was learning and it was all cool, but now it's my livelihood and now my time is limited and I actually need to use my time for the people who are paying me for it. Because here's the deal. If you run your hobby like a hobby, it will never grow as a business. The only way to turn a hobby into a business is to actually go pro. And that means starting to make a profit, orienting your activities towards turning what it is that you love, not just into a way to spend your time doing what it is that you love and serve others, but aligning your activities in such a way, managing your time in such a way, and most importantly, managing your mind in such a way that the business starts paying for itself. It starts paying you for the time that you spend in it. It starts generating revenue and turning a profit. Now, it was very interesting because as my friends and I started getting honest with each other, radically honest with each other about, oh, I let this client in because they have a settlement pending and they wanted to wait for that settlement to come through to start paying me. So I'm coaching them now for a discount or for free. Or I felt bad about this person, they just lost their job, they really want to do this, but they're in no financial position to do that. So I'm just going to take them on at a discount. Or this was my first client, so I was afraid to ask for what I needed to get paid or for what my time is worth. And so I just kind of notched it down. And it was very interesting to see how everybody was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? So I thought about this question and I realized that for me, I still have back doors somewhere in my mind, or I still used to have them up until recently, these back doors. I still have recruiters calling me from places like Facebook and Airbnb and other tech companies and startups wanting me to work for them as a product person. I still have people that are calling me with other opportunities that are not what my coaching business is doing, what my vision is, to coach entrepreneurs and really use astrology as a very strong, insightful developmental tool that really brings a competitive advantage to you as an entrepreneur. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, I see that. My mind still thinks of other options. My mind still, my ego is trying to trick me into we'll see about this, Lisa. You're going to do this hobby for a little bit until you run out of savings. And that's the other problem. The other problem is this time, unlike prior times, I have a safety net. I'm bootstrapping my company with my own savings from my corporate jobs. And my overhead is low and I'm investing so much into just building my business, growing my business. But there's no there's no urgency. There's no urgency that I used to have when for example, before I came to the US for the first time. That's when I had urgency. And that's when my family, my dad had just died in a car accident. I was in this private school that was subsidizing my education because my mom and I had no money. My mom had come out of retirement to start cleaning homes and taking care of people and just working anything she could find to put food on the table. My country had just come from hyperinflation. I was 16 at the time. When my dad died, we got hit by hyperinflation. I tell my story in other places, but just to give you guys a sense, there was one month, January of 1997, the year before I came to the US, the January of the year I came to the US, that our combined income without my, jobs that I was doing on the side, a combined government income for my mom and I was $2 a month. And I remember passing by this this market stall on my way to home one day, and there was this bottle of shampoo, and its price was literally my mom and I's combined income from the government that was supposed to replace my dad's income after he passed away, and he was the major bread earner in our family. And so you guys said we didn't have anything. Our cat would eat soy cubes because we didn't have money to buy much more than just bread and butter and just the basic necessities. We couldn't feed ourselves. I took a job on the side to go and teach English to somebody who could pay me money, whose parents could pay me money, preparing them for the TOEFL exam. Anyway, I just recall back then, the only way forward was through, because I didn't have anything to fall back on. I was at the bottom, so the only way was up. So when the time came to really apply for US colleges, to really do an amazing job at my applications and put my heart and soul into these essay contests I entered just to win money to be able to buy a plane ticket, there was no other way. There was no option for me but just to be really serious about it and really go for it. And I had to make it work. And there was no plan B. There was just no plan B. There was no fallback. And that's when I knew it was gonna work. I just had to figure out how. And that's where I'm getting now. That's the point I'm getting to in my business, because now I have a fallback, and that's a curse. If you have a fallback, that's a curse. If you have savings, that's a curse. If you have, we were talking with my friends, my entrepreneurship friends, somebody's got their mother paying for their VA. Somebody else has got some rental income that's coming in that's helping support the whole operation. Somebody else is really unclear whether they're making any money or not because their husband is the main breadwinner in their family. Somebody else has just gotten used to charging very little, and again, their husband is the main provider, and so she's just has major guilt trips about asking, working less and asking for more because there are other options. None of us would be on the street, would be starving like I was starving in my teens if we don't make our businesses work. And that's what keeps us, that's what we decided together, keeps us in the hobby zone. And so how do we get out of the hobby zone? How do we engineer our own urgency? How do we engineer that scenario where the only way out is through? There's no back doors. And I realized the answer is simple. We burn the bridges. We burn the boats. So Cortez, when he came over with his crew over to the Americas, he literally burned the ship that they came on. He's like, you guys are here and we have to make this work. We have to colonize this place. I'm not approving of his actions, but one thing he did do well was execute and be decisive about it and burn the boats, burn the bridges, literally. So I actually came across this thing in Russell Brunson's book Expert Secret. So Russell Brunson is a marketer, and he's an internet entrepreneur, and he's just got a ton of wisdom and a ton of really amazing experience that he teaches, he shares with other entrepreneurs who have a huge online component or work with people remotely. And in his book, he says about the journey, the entrepreneurship journey. There's a point. He says, after you develop a plan, you move forward on it until something happens and you start to run into conflict. We call this the point of no return, because before this point, you could have easily just walked away from the plan and things would have been okay. Here, something happens where you must either decide to go back to your old life or burn the boats and keep moving forward. So I'm like, I don't want to have to wait until my savings run out to get to that come to Jesus moment, to get to that, pardon French, shit or get off the pot moment. So what am I doing? I am hiring a VA. I'm very intentionally hiring somebody who gets to partner with me. And I'm setting a timeline for myself, a goal for myself to bring them on full time after initially being part-time. That brings overhead to my business. I've hired a technical person to help me with my infrastructure, with my technical needs of my business. I'm investing in my business. That requires cash, that requires investment. I've incorporated my business. I'm opening its own bank account with a tax ID. I'm hiring a bookkeeper. This thing gets to have its own bank account, its own P&L, its own balance sheet. So this thing is really very, very quickly starting to get real, starting to get like, wow, this is a business, because we track it, we invest in it, it requires investment, it requires cash, and now the only way for me is through. So the only way for me is to stop subsidizing that business and get the business to start throwing money. And it's starting to because I'm approaching it as such. I'm starting to get amazing clients, I'm starting to get money in the door. And it's like, wow, it really makes a big difference when you burn the boats. So one other story I have about how, for me, a lot of that insight has come through working with my own developmental cycles in astrology, because up until last year, I was really on the fence whether I should stay in my career or go back to tech or kind of strike out on my own and do something completely different for myself. And I saw these developmental cycles clearly pointing in the direction of, this is your wave of opportunities coming. It's literally going to be up to you to make it happen. It's going to be up to you to find your way through. There is a way through. I'm setting the vision. I've set the vision. So astrology was instrumental for me to set my vision to where I'm going. Set my vision and say, okay, I'm turning this thing from hobby to a business. That's the vision. And then having that navigational compass, that decision-making compass based on what is going on in my chart. Am I still on the right path? How am I gonna create, what energies am I working with right now to create that urgency, to create that vision? And interestingly enough, one of my clients, she had something going on in her chart right now to where a planet called Pluto, doesn't really matter, but a planet called Pluto that's very much connected with scary topics, taboo topics, and it's very much connected to power, and it's very much connected to unconscious fears or unconscious beliefs, but it's also connected with transformation and unlocking the power of truth, the power of being authentically real and radically honest. She had that planet activate a complex, an energy pattern in her chart that had to do with her self-worth and with her confidence in herself to earn resources, material resources and money, and to provide for herself. And was tied to another part of her chart that was about her mission. There was another complex of energy that was getting activated that's tied into her career and her mission. So I'm like, I'm wondering. And these two were working in such a way that it indicated an opportunity, and then they indicated a way that she could step more fully into her power of earning more money. But she needed to look at, again, that planet symbolized radical honesty. She needed to get really intimate and honest with her finances. This is somebody who didn't know if she was profitable or not, who was letting in a lot of free riders into her program, or a lot of moochers who were just taking advantage of her and getting a discount or not paying her for months at a time, and she would still coach them. And she came back and she said, wow, this is really interesting. I sat down and I looked at the finances, and I looked at who owes me what, and who I have to have these honest conversations with. And as soon as I started doing that, somebody just sent me a lot of money that they owed me. Boom. Like this. It happened just when she started getting intimate and honest. And these are all energies that are connected with that planet, with that energy complex that was being activated in a specific part of her chart at this time. And I gave her the dates. This is going to work through. This is an opportunity for you to apply this type of energy to your life. And so for me, I have something similar happening right now. I have an energy that is applying huge developmental pressure, huge, like making it real, embody it, make it happen. That is putting a ton of pressure on the part of my chart that's connected with life mission and career. And I'm feeling it. And I'm like, the only way is through. I get to really put resources and structure my business, support my business, give my business legs, and create that sense of urgency to where I'm burning the boats. I burned the boats by coming out as an astrologer just recently, a month ago, in front of my whole network of alumni from the Harvard Business School, from Wharton, from decades of working in the tech industry and working in investment management, private equity, venture capital, having worked with some of the, I used to work, it was not uncommon for me to be in private jets, to actually work with people who had made billions of dollars. I've spent time with people who are truly rich, and understanding their mindset has been extremely helpful to me. And interestingly enough, I'm able to see that through the astrological lens about, wow, this works, this doesn't work. How does that fit together? But anyway, I came out as an astrologer, and that for me was a huge piece that unlocked me burning a major boat, which was like, I can always go back to the safety of being this regular, standard, conventional, Harvard MBA educated, Silicon Valley tech exec working in product, being successful, but not really working on her calling and having a hobby that she puts her heart and soul in, and not having the guts or the plan to put it as a vision and then chart the path to get there and then burn the boats. My question to you is, where in your life are there back doors? Where in your life do you still have boats that are moored to the shore? What will it take for you to burn those boats? What would it take for you to create a scenario where the only way out is through? And for those of you who are in Portland, will be in Portland at the end of September, I'm putting together a free workshop called From Hobby to Pro, creating a vision for turning your dream into reality. And it's literally that first step of the process, creating the vision of where do I want to go, what is that I need to create, and then creating a commitment for burning those boats. So ping me for more information. I'll put it on my page. I'll email it to my email list. It's going to be September the 28th, Saturday in Portland, Oregon. If you are going to be here, definitely ping me. If not, I hope that this is going to turn into a recurring workshop event. I'll bring online either this time around or next time around. Have a beautiful day and burn some boats.